UN Chief for Cybercrime, to have a talk to our community regarding cybercrime. So please welcome them.
Thanks a lot, Joanna. It's an honor to be here. Neil and I, as Joanna rightly introduced us, we work here in Vienna at the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. And probably you have heard about the agency, probably not, but traditionally we've been seen working mostly with criminal justice practitioners, law enforcement, in order to help member states to prevent and fight serious crime. But since 2015, when the Doha Declaration was adopted by member states, where among other issues, the member states agreed that the issues related to prevention is more important than fighting crime, any type of crime, and especially cybercrime. Since then, we started implementation of the Doha program and Education for Justice initiative, which is part of this program, which aims to prevent crime through education activities from primary through secondary and tertiary education levels. And this is especially important when we talk about cybercrime, when we talk about our interconnected world, about internet, which provides cyber criminals anonymity and encryption functions. That's why under my component, we produce educational materials, tools to help educators, teachers to teach on online safety and cybercrime. As well as we also developed jointly with the leading educational experts, educational materials for kids, for students, for policymakers, and all these materials are available on our website, open access, and I'm going to show you how you can find all these resources and tools. So if you go to our website, the address is unodc.org. This is our website, and if you scroll down the right corner, you will go to the Doha Declaration program, which I mentioned, and here you will be redirected to the Doha Declaration page, and our component is Education for Justice component, so you go here, and here you see we divided all the materials under three main sections by education levels: primary, secondary, and tertiary education materials. So at the primary level, what we do is mainly through educational resources and tools, we promote basic values and skills for kids to build their resilience against any type of crime, including cybercrime, to make them aware about online safety. So here, if we go to fun corner, so we at UNODC not only develop our own educational resources and materials, but we also bring together the existing high-quality educational resources. So one of our products is the ZORPS videos. It's the video about the ZORPS. The ZORPS are the inhabitants of imaginary planet who overcome different challenges thanks to basic core skills and values that we promote. And the ZORPS have a number of different videos on different topics, including one video we have on safe online surfing, and the second one is on respectful online communications. So these videos are targeting kids aged 6 to 12, and also these videos could be used in class. For this, to facilitate the use of these videos in class, we have developed also teachers' lesson plans for primary level to help teachers to use these videos in class. Also, we used the same characters to develop some more tools at the secondary education level. For example, we have the video game ZORPS Reloaded, which also addresses very pressing issues regarding online safety, including cyber grooming, safe online networking practices. You can find these materials at the secondary education level. For example, if we go here, you will find here online games, videos, and here, if we go, for example, online games, you will see we have not only video games, but for example, we have also a board game called Cybercrime, also for the secondary level education, and kids can, and VIS has been provided and informed about this game. So all these materials are available in open access on our website. Also, if you go to the library of resources, this library brings together all the existing materials in different languages on different topics. So here you see all the main types of crime that we help to prevent and fight. Here, if we go to cybercrime, this will bring you more than 1,000 materials. And here you can see by topics, you can choose any material which interests you according to the topic. And here in the description, you can see the languages this material is available, and also type of resource, who are the audience of this tool. So please feel free to visit our website, to look through, and we hope that you will find useful resources here to talk with your kids on difficult topics. So I think that's briefly what I wanted to present. And also, yeah, at the primary education level, just to show you this book, probably some of you have already seen, because we handed over more than 200 copies of this book, which is available now in 6 UN languages, plus in German and Portuguese, to be disseminated among parents and kids. So these books, in a very simple way, explains to youngest kids, aged 6 years old, about main online risks. So we hope these resources will help you to start difficult conversations. Thank you.
Hi, well, afternoon everybody. I'm Neil. I normally make fun of our website, but we're being live streamed on Facebook, so I'm pretty really nice about it today. I'm going to talk to you, if I may, about some of the threats that you and your kids might be facing online. Some of it will make you uncomfortable, and it's supposed to. And some of it is about giving you ways of managing some of this risk, if it ever happens. How many of you in the room right now have a mobile phone or a device that's connected with you? Almost everybody, right? How many of you have Bluetooth turned on? Okay, a few of you. Bluetooth is the leaky sieve of everything. It blasts data out of your device. And it means that if there is a man or a woman of badness around you with a laptop turned on with a Bluetooth connection, they could quite easily compromise your device, get your messages, your photos, control the device, lots of things like that. So a lot of what we do is about keeping people safe, is trying to manage some of the risk with our conscience. And these things are our conscience, right? And especially for our kids. We were just speaking to, what year was that before? 11? You're 11. So 16? 15, 16? Somewhere there? 16, 17. Okay. And they are probably the population of students and kids that are at the highest risk of stuff happening online. I was speaking at my daughter's primary school this morning, just a couple of blocks away, and that's the 9-year-olds. Less risk there because there's only a couple of devices in the room, but it's more than zero. So it's about understanding what these risks are and where they lie. Cybercrime is a load of different things and can refer to lots of different things. The principal things and threats that we will come up against are threats to your device, someone or something trying to take control of it. And many of you will be sitting in the room thinking, well, I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide. I don't care if someone targets me, targets my device, or has access to it. It doesn't matter. Actually, it does, because you are then that person, that device that the bad guys use to get through a door to try and get to somebody else. Okay, you might be the easiest way. And we were saying to the kids that, you know, how many of you in the room of kids think you would be hacked or targeted? None. What if your mum's the ambassador of wherever? I'm like, oh right. What if First Secretary of Canada? What if you are in a sensitive role? So the kid might be targeted to get to you, and to get to your device, to get to the embassy, the bank, the office, the UN, to get to somewhere else. And this is what we see happening time and time again. The opposition out there, be they criminals, be they states, they will try and identify the most vulnerable person or device and get in that way. So the way we try and do some protective security around this is turn your Bluetooth off if you're not using it. If you're not walking around with AirPods on trying to look cool, and looking around the room, I think we're over the age there. If you're not trying to look cool, turn the Bluetooth off. Turn the Wi-Fi off if you're not using it. All of this stuff is blasting out details about your device. Don't have the location turned on unless you need it, unless you are lost, okay? Unless you're posting something. Think about photos or images that you share online. Hands up if you're on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook, but I have no friends, so that's why. It would just be me on my own in a very empty room. Instagram, a few of you. Twitter, the land of madness. Yeah, I'm joking. Twitter, any of you? No, please. Snapchat. A few of you. Wow, the cool kids in the room here. TikTok. Oh my. Okay, right. I've never felt so old. So, what I want you to think about here is we often see, and certainly I often see, parents sharing pictures of their kids, sharing not nude pictures or even something that could be potentially illegal of their kids, but just pictures of their kids. I want you to turn the clock back to when you were a kid. For me, that's 40-something years ago. Think of the pictures of you with your parents, with your brothers and sisters on holiday on the beach, doing something dumb with the bad haircut, with the bad clothes, and you're posting that online. And that's there with them for the rest of their lives. And they had no choice in that. So just think about that before you start posting pictures on social media forums, because they are there forever. I'm not saying don't do it, I'm saying think about it, think of that decision. If it was you, think back to your childhood, think back to being a geeky teenager, and you suddenly find the pictures of you as the kid on the beach with your parents. The embarrassment factor, the social factor, the pressure that can come with that. Thinking about your devices, we keep our devices safe with passwords. Any of you in the room with the password, or password 1234, yeah, the uncomfortable giggling begins. If that is you, and you think, could someone guess my password? If they know your mother's maiden name, if they know roughly what age you are, yes they can, if that's what your password is. In fact, Google, and especially any of you watching online, Google common passwords, and you'll find a big list of the most common passwords that are out there. Don't have one of those. Everything we do is to try and mitigate and bring risk down. We can't stop everything, but we can make it really hard. And a nice way to do this is you can go on to if you Google 3 random words or random word generator, then you can get 3 random words. And we as humans, psychologically, we are not primed to think of things randomly. We're really bad at it. Ask my mother-in-law, she won't see this. So, do 3 random words, and they might be completely crazy. All you have to do is to be able to remember them, or at least store them in the encrypted part of your device in the passwords bit. A couple of capital letters, a couple of numbers, an exclamation mark, a star, something like that. If your password is longer than 12 individual bits, it's really hard for someone to try and hack that. It's really hard for someone to guess it. It's even really hard for criminals or even state actors to try and brute force that, to try and run through every plausible possibility. The longer you make it, the harder it is for someone to work it out. And that keeps your device safe. And that keeps your money safe. And that keeps your personal life safe. Because these things are our conscience. They know to within a meter where you are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They've got cameras pointing at you the whole time. They have a microphone that is probably always on. If I'm always tempted to shout, okay, Google, and you hear people's phones like that. Okay, so you've got this device with you all the time. Think of what you search. Think of what you look for. Think of the sites that you've gone onto that you don't want your husband or wife to know about. Think about what you spend your money on. Think about what you would like to spend your money on. Think about your friends. All of these things are on this bit of plastic. So what we have to do is protect that a little bit to help protect ourselves in real life. So we make the password difficult. We don't share data that we don't need to. And this is exactly the chat that we just had with the kids as well. Because sometimes there's some really difficult risks, and we're going to talk about some of the really dark stuff now on what can exist online and some of the threats that happen online. Before I joined the UN, which is 4 years ago, or after this week it feels like 40 years ago, I used to be a cop for 15 years and running counter-terrorism and organised crime investigations around the world. And a lot of the work I did in the last part of my career before joining here was on countering online child sexual abuse and exploitation. You'll notice I didn't use the term child pornography. It doesn't exist, okay? If in my previous life where I saw a video of a 6-month-old baby being raped, that baby isn't a porn star. Okay, so help me to be an advocate for the language in this, it's really important. If you hear someone say child pornography, challenge them on it, respectfully, it doesn't exist. Children are exploited or abused, they are not involved in porn. Make sense? All right. So, talking about some of the dark stuff that's out there, I'm going to share with you a couple of statistics. This comes from an organisation that we partner with called the Internet Watch Foundation. And it's a UK-based NGO, and they host reporting portals around the world. We've set some up for them. Actually, Paul, that was some of the work we've done together. We've made this happen in lots of countries in the Caribbean. The Internet Watch Foundation is an NGO, and if you find child abuse material on the internet, you can report it to them. You put the URL, the website address that you found it on, and they get it taken down, often within 24 hours, often even quicker than that. You don't have to give an email address, you don't have to give your phone number, you don't have to tell them anything about you. What's really helpful for them is how you found it. And often that could be sometimes in news groups, WhatsApp chat, actually Facebook Messenger is where there is an enormous amount of child abuse material shared and hosted, which is a real challenge for us. I'm going to give you some statistics. These are not nice, ladies and gents, but they are real. And we have to understand the reality of this. In 2018, so a year and a half ago, the Internet Watch Foundation dealt with over 135,000 unique website addresses with child abuse material on them. That's not one picture and that's not one video, that's just websites. And on each website you can have hundreds of thousands of pictures or images. 39% of these images are of kids aged 10 or younger. 2% are non-verbal infants below the age of 6 months. This isn't just pictures, this is the rape and sexual torture of kids online being sold. Now the likelihood of you coming across stuff like this is relatively slim, but it's only relatively slim. If you go onto a typical standard porn site, there is a real chance of you coming across child abuse material. When I say child abuse material, I'm not talking just the really young stuff, I'm talking anybody under the age of 18. Because under the age of 18, you are a child in law, even though we know the young adults that live in our houses seem a lot older than that. So if you come across something on a website where you see an image where you think, oh my God, they look a bit young, do something about it. Don't just think, oh God, turn it off. You don't have to tell anybody, you don't have to tell anybody in your house. Take a snapshot, take a copy of that URL, go to the Internet Watch Foundation reporting portal, paste it into it, it tells you through how to do it. You can put your own details in if you want to get feedback, but you mightn't want to, I understand that. And put it in and do something about it. Because I can guarantee you that those under the age of 18, I would suggest even older than that, who are pictured on porn sites are not there willingly. It is sadly common now for our kids to take pictures of themselves naked. There is some research suggesting that 14-year-olds are more likely to have seen each other naked in a shared selfie than had a first kiss. And if we ignore this and we think this doesn't happen, we can't have the conversation. And I know these are really difficult conversations to have. I have 4 kids myself. So what we do is we make ourselves aware of this, and then we think, how do we deal with this? How do we take ourselves through these difficult topics? And a lot of this is about awareness. As Kamola said, it's about prevention. Investigating this stuff is horrible. I've spent so much of my life dealing with this, where there's a big part of my brain where all this stuff is stored. And it has an impact. There's a standard everyday implement in the kitchen that I can't look at without feeling very, very unwell. Because I've seen that being used in a way that you wouldn't imagine. So our job together is, if we become aware of finding any of this stuff, is to do something about it. Sometimes you might think I need to call the police on that, and I can help you to do that if that's ever the case. But simply reporting it gets it taken down really quickly. And it puts prevention in place. It helps to identify the victims in this case, and it helps to bring the people doing it to justice. Might surprise you that 50% of child abuse material hosted on the internet is hosted in the Netherlands. You might think it's going to be far away, it's going to be in a state where there's not a lot of command and control. It's in the Netherlands. And that's because of Dutch privacy legislation. It's quite tricky to work with. And to get access to servers is quite tricky to work with. And our friends in the Netherlands know this, and they're doing the best they can under a very challenging legislative regime. Then it goes from the Netherlands to the USA, and then it goes from the USA to Slovakia. Then it goes from Slovakia to France. And they are the top hosting for child abuse material on the open internet. Not on the darknet, which is the darker encrypted bit, but on the open internet. And all of these countries are really engaged in tackling it. Their law enforcement is great, and having been there and worked with them in the past, in my previous life, they are bloody good at what they do. But we need each and every one of us to be involved in this fight, to see if we see it, to do something about it. Because the moment it's reported, then someone will take action on that. If you report to the IWF or any other organisation, they won't just sit on it. They will do something with it. I've been there on a Friday afternoon, sitting in the office when I ran operations out of Europol, the EU's intelligence organisation in The Hague. 5 o'clock, guy from another police organisation from another country comes in with the USB stick saying, yeah, there's 50,000 images on this. And you've got to do something with it. Child abusers, when they're detained, when they're detected and arrested, many of those who operate online have been operating for over 13 years before detection. When they're arrested and their devices are seized, there are hundreds of gigabytes, even terabytes of data, of videos, of images that they trade with each other, that they sell. We can all play a part in doing stuff about this, and that's about keeping our devices safe so that they can't be compromised, and also about reporting stuff if we ever see it or we ever find it. And if we ever see it or we ever find it, it's having the conversations about this. And part of this I want to talk about regular porn, so not child abuse, but regular porn. I had this conversation with my 9-year-old recently. She doesn't have a phone, and I've decided she can have a phone when she's about 43. And I think that might be a challenging conversation to have, but in my head that's what we're going to do. So, there are kids in her class with a phone already, which I personally think is a bit young, but they're not my children, so it's not my decision to make. I would suggest 9 is too young. Because these things, you wouldn't give a 9-year-old a car or a gun. And the stuff that you can find on the internet, a couple of clicks, is as dangerous, if not more. There was a story on the BBC News a few weeks ago about a 23-year-old girl, and she, in her last 3 sexual partners, consensual, had been choked during sex. And that is because of the misogyny and the violence that is depicted in regular porn. So we need to have these conversations with our kids. And we need to ask them, we need to work out how to have this conversation. It can make us feel a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. But the way I did it, doesn't know if it works for everybody, I was picking my daughter up from Taekwondo, and I know I've got a 15-minute period of her listening on her own. She's actually on receive mode, which rarely happens, and I dread to think what a teenager is going to be like. But as we walked home, I said, who in your class has a phone? And she said, A and B. Okay, what are you doing then? Well, sometimes we look at the internet. Back in my head, I'm going, okay, what do you see? Oh, sometimes we see games. Okay, cool. Sometimes we look at YouTube. Okay, and YouTube's algorithms. Sorry, YouTube, crazy sometimes. YouTube, recently I deleted the app from my phone because I was getting right-wing madness because I was looking at Brexit. That's a great idea. Looking at stuff on that, looking at political opinion, and it was taking me down a very dark path of posting right-wing, far-right extremists, because the algorithm decides where it's going to take you down that rabbit hole. So I was speaking to her and I said, have you, and we've had the sex talk, we did that a year ago, and my kids are 9, 7, 5 and 3. Yeah, don't ask. So, I don't have a choice in doing this. Anyway, 9, 7, 5 and 3, and we want to have this conversation together. And actually last night, Mrs. Walsh was out for the night, and this always happens. She goes out, and I start getting the questions. Like, Daddy, oh God, Daddy, what happened? How do you have 8 babies? Ideally, you don't. Ideally, you don't, right? And she goes, well, I've seen in my book a woman who had 8 babies in the Guinness World Record Encyclopedia book. Okay, yeah, so it can happen. Sometimes, especially people who can't, they're trying to have babies, it's not working, they can have medicine that creates more eggs. And then we went eggs to sperm to periods to how not having babies. So at 8 o'clock last night, I'm sitting with my 4 kids with a packet of the pill and condoms, thinking, what the hell am I doing? But we can have the conversation. I want them to hear it from me. I don't want them learning about sex from a 9-year-old's mobile in the back of a primary school class, watching a 20-year-old girl getting choked in a self-produced image. And it's uncomfortable. And you think of, you feel the sweat starting somewhere back here, starting to trickle down. Okay, I don't want to be talking about this, but really this is our responsibility. Sadly, life has changed from when we were kids. This is not where somebody brings in a ruffled up porn mag and shares it around the classroom. This is vastly more high risk. The risks around these are really quite high. It may surprise you that over 50% of online child abuse material on the internet is self-generated. Kids taking pictures of themselves, sharing it in the classroom, sharing it with each other, a relationship, a consensual relationship that ends, and then being shared either abusively, coercively, or even by mistake. So 50% of that. And the real danger of that, apart from the psychological risk to them, that's there forever, really hard to get rid of it. The real danger of that is we could potentially see our kids getting criminalized. If you're two 15-year-olds, two 16-year-olds, I don't know the answer to this question. What's the age of consent in Austria?
14.
14?
Yes, yeah. We are very good at that, yes.
Okay. Up in Northern Ireland, it's 53. So, the age of consent, relatively low, and they all potentially at 14 have one of these things. It is not uncommon now for selfies, for naked selfies, for nude selfies, either together or alone. There is some really interesting research from Australia that is looking at the gender disaggregation in this. They use different phraseology, and they do it for different reasons. Boys call it dick pics, and they take pics and they share them with girls in the hope of getting the same back in return. This is a Y chromosome failure, because this doesn't happen. And being boys will do it again, thinking that it might still work, and it doesn't. Girls take naked pictures to try and reduce their own risk of having to have sex. Take a picture, share it, I don't actually have to do it. So a really interesting gender disaggregation here. Still research is being done, that could change, but from what we're starting to see now, I think it's fascinating to look at that. And that's why we have to have this conversation. When I saw this story in the BBC News about the girl who had been choked 3 occasions, and sometimes if you see regular porn, it does look like that. And I put this on LinkedIn and said, don't do this, don't be the people who watch this, don't be the people who propagate this. And the amount of direct messages, abusive direct messages that I got from men, big surprise. It was like, who the hell are you to say this? How dare you write this down? I don't do this, I don't rape anybody. I was like, yeah, well done you, it's not about you. Okay? This is about shining a light on the challenge that is out there and explaining this. It's great. I'm really glad the guy who sent the very unpleasant message doesn't do that. It's not about the guys, it's about the girls. Okay? If that's what has become a norm or an experience, that is not good for us as a society. And that's why I bring it back to, if our kids have access to these devices without much control around them and without understanding the context, if you start to think from the age of 9, 10 or 11 and you see that, you see getting choked, you think, well, that must be normal. And you look at body image, you look at what it's actually like, you look at the real misogyny in this. We want to have that conversation, we want our kids to understand where that is and what it's about. In an ideal world, working in the UN, an ideal world. In an ideal world, they wouldn't take self-nude pictures, nude selfies, or anything like that, but it happens. So we want to make sure that they understand that they can seek help if this happens. The biggest thing, certainly in my previous life, dealing with child sexual abuse victims, either as kids or as adults, is they didn't know how to get help. They didn't think they would be believed, but most importantly, they didn't know how to describe what had happened. So my kids, from the youngest of ages, we have learned the names of our body parts and we are not embarrassed to say them. And we don't use any acronyms, any funny words. We talk about a penis or a vulva or a vagina. Because if we get embarrassed saying it, if that happens to you, how do you tell someone what happened? And when I spoke, I remember really clearly in my last posting before coming here, I was interviewing a woman who was in her mid-20s. She was literally about to give birth, and she was giving evidence on camera from the British ambassador's residence in a foreign country, because technically, legally, UK land, on a trial against her dad. And her dad had raped her from the age of 4 through to 12. And this only came out when he was arrested for a completely different offence, and his phone was downloaded by the police. And I remember bringing her back home that day, and she got out of the car, we shook hands, and she said, "I've been waiting for that for 15 years. And I said, "Can I ask you, why did you not say before? What happened that didn't allow you to report?" She said, "I didn't think anybody would believe me, and I didn't know how to say it." So when we have these conversations with our kids, when we talk about, when we're not embarrassed about it, when we get over our own embarrassment, then we can make their lives much easier, where this isn't a taboo, where it's not an embarrassment thing. I could never have talked about this with my parents. I even told my parents are coming over next week, because they thought that I'd been sitting in the kitchen last night with condoms in the pillow. Trust me, that'd be a funny conversation to have. But this is real life. If we ignore this and think this doesn't exist, or it's someone else's job to do this, we miss a trick. We miss a trick to prevent something from happening. So it's about empowering them. It's about taking those risks of being a wee bit uncomfortable for 20 minutes, and then it's done. And then every so often just have that conversation again. And that's what I'm doing with my lot now, because that scares me. That there's things that I know I will never be able to control. So if we teach them how to stay safe online, we teach them what is normal. We talk about what is normal. We talk about, last night we were talking with mine about good secrets and bad secrets. Especially for the younger ones. What's a good secret? A good secret, no, grandma and granddad are coming next week. That's a good secret. Excellent. What's a bad secret? Well, one of my friends in gym, the girl that I love, he's 7, but the girl that I love now knows about it, and I wanted to know, and one of my friends told her. So we then talk about consent, and we talk about trust, and we talk about what a good friend looks like. And we then take that a little bit further with my older ones, and she's been away at scout camp for a week. I think I slept for about 3 hours in that time. And it's having that conversation. You're away on your own, you're with all of these people, and you're with scout leaders that I don't know. I want you to be safe. I want you to understand what is normal. I want you to understand what is abnormal. If an adult ever starts saying, "Need you to come in and sleep with me, keep you safe. You had a nightmare, come with me." Or you get touched, where should someone not be able to touch you? And she now knows. There was this wonderful campaign on nappies, on diapers a few years ago, called the Pants Campaign. Tell the kids, no one touches you within your pants. Okay? It's yours. That is yours. You decide. And even when I'm washing my youngest one, the 3-year-old, in the shower, I'll say, "Is it okay if I wash your bum?" Yes. Okay? But we've already got into consent. Is it okay if? I'm not saying get down and we will do this. And we start to explain, well, sometimes it might be necessary for mummy or daddy to clean you, or a doctor might have to look at you at some point, but they won't do it without asking. And they'll never tell you it's a secret, and they'll never tell you not to tell anybody. And if someone does do that, there's something wrong there. And to give them the opportunities to look out for risk and to ask for help. And they probably won't come to us as parents. They'll probably tell a sibling or a friend, might be someone in school, might be a teacher. And if you hear that and you start to see those signs and symptoms, and we look at kids who are abused and we see there can be the typical stuff of withdrawal, sudden change of behaviour. Sometimes we see overly sexualised behaviour that's inappropriate. Think about these things. You start to see that, think, okay, there's something there I'm not overly comfortable with, I'm not sure about it. And if you ever need to ask me or come to me, by all means give me a shout. I'm always there, and I'll be happy to talk it through or point you in the right direction. But we can have impact, and this does have really, really impactful results when we empower our kids to understand what's normal. And it's right back to sharing photos that we put up with them without asking them, thinking about what their lives are going to play out with. I kind of think 10 years ago, if I imagined what our devices do now, the amount of storage on them, I can't imagine what in 10 years' time that's going to look like. So we have to think that we will not understand their lives. We already know we don't understand their lives. Their perception of online and offline is totally blended. Okay, it's all real life or not. Some of the things that we can do that are really nice, we're going to go out of the dark stuff now, is when we start talking about disinformation, misinformation, fake news. I hate that term, it makes me think of someone. Disinformation, misinformation, really important, especially in a school environment. I can't imagine if I was a kid now looking at something online with someone with 70 million followers and trying to understand that what they've said might not be true. And it's trying to understand, helping them with critical thinking, and that's actually the work that Kamola has done and the stuff that she's created. Really important to help teachers and educators to have these conversations. We also start to look at how can they manage their own online risk? What if something goes wrong? How do you tell if something's gone wrong? How would you know, and please tell me if you think you have the answer, how would you know if your phone has a virus on it? It's always going to be the younger one. Excellent. Sure.
It doesn't work properly.
It doesn't work properly. That could be user error as well. But yes, it doesn't work properly. Okay, what else? Please.
It's heated.
It's heating up. That's a great one. Absolutely. I've been to some countries worth work where I've had a brand new iPhone 10, I've come back and my battery lasts from full for 15 minutes. Someone's done something to it. So if the phone heats up, the device heats up and you don't know why, if the battery is draining like crazy for no obvious reason, probably something on it. If you look, actually hands up if you have an iPhone. Alright, great. Hands up if Android. Could be at least one BlackBerry in the room. Anybody on Windows Phone? No. See, you lost the market. It used to be, at least until middle of last year, iPhone was the gold of safety and security because Apple put so much encryption and invested so heavily in it. We're starting to see there are state-linked criminals who have developed some really impressively scary capability to break the encryption on iPhones. And the same for Android is typically easier because all of the software is open source. So you get the bad guys looking at how they break into it. So if you find your device is overheating, then that's a really big sign there's something going on with it. You can look at the battery life, and the battery life will usually show you which apps are draining. If you find apps that are draining that you've not been using or doesn't make sense, there's something wrong with your device. Now the way that we protect ourselves here and keep our devices safe is back up your devices, okay? Back them up offline ideally, or even in two places. Do a backup of all your pictures, the messages that you want to keep, whatever it is on your phone that you think, I need that for the rest of my life is over if I don't have this. Back it up onto a laptop or another thing, and onto a USB stick or a big removable hard drive. The reason I say that is one of the most common areas of cybercrime now is called ransomware. Heard of ransomware? Sound good? Okay. In the previous life, I used to run anti-kidnap operations and try to recover hostages who had been taken away. You recover hostages usually by paying ransoms, that's part of it, or pretending to pay the ransom. The same thing works now in our devices. Cyber criminals, if you go on to some sites, and you'll get an email with a hyperlink in it, don't click on it, all right? If you weren't expecting that email, you have not won the lottery, especially if you don't play the lottery, all right? It happens all the time. Do not let human inquisiting and greed take over. Delete the email, you will survive without it. But if you click on that link, what we're seeing happening now is criminals encrypting your device, your server, your embassy, your school, everything. And up pops this lovely thing on the screen saying, you are hacked, you are encrypted. Please pay 5,000 euros in Bitcoin to this address and we'll give you back your device. Don't do that. They're criminals. They might be telling the truth. And we see this time and again where criminals encrypt a device, people then pay thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies to these lovely criminals who promised to decrypt it, and bloody hell, they didn't do it. There isn't the Amazon get out of jail free card where you say, please can I have the money back, you didn't decrypt it. It is a criminal business model, it is people who lie as a profession. So if this happens to you, your device is probably broken, okay? But if you've backed it up, you simply do a factory reset and you start again. Yes, please.
Quick question, what do you think about backing up into cloud?
Yeah, generally it's okay. Depends which service you use, but that's the way things are going. That's the way it is. The way that I deal with stuff is a cloud backup and then a hard backup as well, just in case the cloud thing doesn't work. Or in our house recently, the hard drive got broken, apparently. Well, at least I went to lift it after the computer died and it rattled. They're not supposed to rattle. I haven't worked out who did that yet. One of those things. So if you have two ways backed up at the same time, then your likelihood of losing everything at the same time unless the satellite lands on the roof of your house, then you're probably going to be okay. And it's like a real life kidnap. If you can't be held hostage, then they can't make any money. You defeat the criminal business model. If you pay them, you're enhancing their criminality, and you don't know what it's being used for. There were 2 really big cyber attacks a couple of years ago with crypto stuff, and that's probably countries that did it, states that did it, rather than criminals, or criminals on behalf of states. So if you pay that, you have no idea where that money is going, what that's propagating or making happen. So be super careful when you click on stuff. Cyber criminals are looking at like a 0.001% of someone to actually click, and they still make a fortune out of that. So please try not to be that person. If you weren't expecting the email, you weren't expecting the link, don't do it. Paul, please.
Hi. Will a factory reset eliminate a virus?
Great question. Will a factory reset eliminate a virus? 99% of it, yes. Okay? So if you lose all of that, do a factory reset, you will get rid of most common stuff. If it's a state-based intelligence agency trying to get you, then it might still be in the background. But for most cybercrime-based threats, yeah, a factory reset will get rid of most of it. And you might have to say, yeah, I've lost the pictures, and when that hard drive was broken, pictures of our wedding, the kids at a very young age were gone, but hey, these things happen. And you take that hit, but you start again, and you don't end up with €1,000 worth of brick that doesn't do anything. You can reset, and you can go again. These are the same things that our kids are up against with the devices that they're using, so help them to understand that. Cover the front-facing cameras. Unless you're using it, stick a plaster over it, stick some tape over it. All of this reduces risk of that device looking at you all the time. If you have OK Google, and I would advise that you don't, but if you have OK Google, if you have Siri, hello Siri, no. Okay. If you do the voice activated stuff, the microphone is on all the time. So you can help manage all of that stuff. Ladies and gents, we'll share some hyperlinks of things that will help you to have these conversations. If you have to have the difficult conversations with your kids, that will help you to plan how to do that, the sort of questions to ask to start the conversation on porn, on God forbid, on sexual abuse, on lots of other things. If there's ever a problem you think this is happening in your house, that's happened to you, it's happened to, and it can happen to adults as well as kids. If you need help, I'm here for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You will find me somewhere. My contact details will happily share after this. I've done this for a long time. I'm pretty good at what I do with it. And if that happens to you, I will be able to help you. The Austrian police are pretty good at it as well. But really, never hesitate to come to us if you've got a question. If you've got any questions, happy to take them now. I've almost gone a little bit over. If there's anything you don't want to ask in public, you want to speak to me later, I'll hang around for a few minutes before going back to the fun palace that is the International Center. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your time. Any questions? Come and grab me. Yeah, come on. I see people need to get away. I'm having forgotten to pick my kids up. There we go.